Vaccarese is one of those grapes that almost disappeared from the wine world before anyone outside France even knew it existed. Originating in the southern Rhône valley, Vaccarese was historically planted in scattered pockets of old mixed vineyards, especially in the area around Châteauneuf-du-Pape. While modern consumers instantly recognize Syrah, Grenache and Mourvedre, Vaccarese sat quietly in the shadows, so rare that only fragments of vineyards even carried it. Yet the grape has always had a unique identity, lighter than Mourvedre, more structured than Grenache, and more aromatic than Syrah. In a Rhône blend, it functioned like a precision tool, softening the edges of powerful grapes while introducing elegance. The grape's name itself varies historically: Vaccarese, Vaccarese and sometimes Brun Argenté, each variation reflecting local dialects and vineyard traditions. The Brun Argenté name translates to silver brown, referencing the pale sheen on the grape skins at maturity. Unlike most Rhône varieties that darken deeply during ripening, Vaccarese retains a dusky silver-violet bloom that looks almost frosted. Vineyard workers historically used that color to distinguish it during harvest. From a viticulture standpoint, Vaccarese is medium vigorous and moderately productive, but notoriously sensitive to disease pressure. While Grenache tolerates heat and drought brilliantly, Vaccarese reacts more delicately. It buds late, which protects it from spring frost, but ripens late, exposing it to end-season humidity and storms. Older farmers discouraged replanting because the grape needed meticulous vineyard attention that wasn't profitable. Over time, this practical thinking contributed to its decline. Its decline also connects to larger trends in wine history. When mass-market French wine surged in the 20th century, demand leaned toward grapes that produced predictable yields and recognizable flavors. Grenache delivered volume, Mourvedre delivered depth, Syrah delivered market appeal. Vaccarese had none of those advantages. As multi-varietal Rhône vineyards aged, farmers regrafted vines with more profitable cultivars. Patches of Vaccarese vanished almost silently. Yet despite scarce plantings, Vaccarese held a reputation among serious winemakers. Its structure stood out: high natural acidity compared to other Rhône reds. High acidity is a rare gift in a hot climate grape. As global warming pushed harvests earlier, acidity became valuable. Winemakers recognized Vaccarese as their insurance policy, preserving freshness, brightness and longevity in blends. Flavor profiles of Vaccarese are strikingly distinct. The grape produces medium-weighted wines, lighter than Syrah but with sharper definition. Aromatically, Vaccarese leans toward dark botanical tones: cracked pepper, bay leaf, dried sage, hibiscus-like florality and subtle graphite. Tannins are fine grain rather than coarse. That elegance gives young wines a silky entry but a surprisingly long finish. On the palate, Vaccarese wines typically show sour cherry, red plum and sometimes violet berry character. In certain vintages, faint earthy cocoa or dusty minerality emerges, especially in sandy limestone parcels of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Unlike Grenache, the fruit profile is not jammy or warm, it is restrained and sleek. This restrained style appealed to producers as the market began shifting away from heavy, alcoholic Rhône wines. Historically, Vaccarese was blended, not bottled alone. French wine laws in premium Rhône appellations allow it as an accepted variety, though modern monovarietal bottlings remain rare. A few experimental estates, working with microplots, have begun producing Vaccarese as single-variety cuvée, mostly to preserve regional heritage. These bottles often surprise tasters who expect density but find precision instead. One remarkable aspect is how Vaccarese ages. In blends, it can act like acidity scaffolding, stabilizing aromatics and slowing oxidative flavor fade. This effect parallels the role of Cabernet Franc in Bordeaux or Graciano in Rioja. Winemakers discovered that even small percentages can extend selling potential. Bottles evolve with fresher fruit and better aromatic lift. Academically, Vaccarese has recently gained classification attention. Genetic analysis confirmed its uniqueness, neither a clone of Grenache nor a subvariant of Mourvedre. It stands genetically distinct, which strengthens its value as a biodiversity preservation priority. In viticultural research centers, Vaccarese now represents climate-resilient studies. If breeders improve disease resistance and skin thickness, the grape could expand beyond its birthplace. Modern revival efforts are small but meaningful. The appeal is philosophical as much as practical. Restoring forgotten vineyard biodiversity is part of sustainable winemaking. Younger winemakers view heritage grapes not as historical burdens but cultural assets. Regions like Gigondas, Vaccarese and surrounding Rhône appellations now include small plantings of Vaccarese in new estates. Wine critics occasionally spotlight those bottles, describing them as the elegant countervoice inside Rhône blends. From a global viewpoint, Vaccarese represents an instructive story: how agriculture, economics, culture and taste shift around specific plants. A grape can disappear not because it lacks quality but because it doesn't fit mass production profitability. When the market changes, valuing uniqueness, forgotten grapes reappear. Vaccarese is experiencing precisely that resurgence. In sensory analysis sessions, young sommeliers appreciate Vaccarese for contrast. They compare it to Syrah and note a reduction in smoked meats, more in aromatic grasses. Compared to Grenache, they note less sweetness and more tension. Compared to Mourvedre, they discover clarity rather than broodiness. These distinctions make Vaccarese an educational reference. While still rare, Vaccarese expresses something invaluable, the Rhone's past. Vineyards once carried dozens of micro-varieties. Blends were field blends made by planting patterns rather than tank recipes. Vaccarese was part of that ecosystem. Every revival planting restores a fragment of that lost complexity. And this is why Vaccarese matters, not because it dominates acreage, but because it represents a version of winemaking rooted in diversity, subtlety and patience. The next time someone mentions Rhone grapes, most will name Syrah, Grenache and Mourvedre. But hidden among them is Vaccarese, silver-skinned, aromatic, structured, endangered and now quietly rising back into relevance.